Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to another 2-Bit Circus Foundation project video. We are back here after the new year, so happy new year to everyone. We have a really cool project that we're going to do today, and it is a simple Periscope project, all right? So you could order these kits, the 2-Bit Circus Periscope Project Kit is our official name of it. And that project kit will come with all of the materials that you need to build a periscope. Now this project is set for elementary level, but again, like all of our projects, you can do it with any age group of students, all right? So I actually have the contents of this project in this box over here, all right? So we're gonna do the unboxing portion where we're gonna open the box up and see the components that are in there to allow us to design and build our periscope. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and pull out all of the materials out of the box. Whoop. Oh, it looks like my mirror broke a little bit, but that's okay. We'll reach in there and see what else we have. Little plastic bag. I don't know what that was for. Maybe it was from the mirrors. A cone. Top. And another tube. And inside that tube we have some cool little plastic pieces and a gold ribbon. Oh, there's a lot of stuff in here. We have another tube. This I actually did. This was together. But when I was playing with this kit, usually I don't open up the kits beforehand, but this kit I opened up beforehand and I was doing a little cutting, all right? So that actually came together on there, but I cut it off before the video, all right? What else do we have in there? We have some shiny metallic pages here too. Awesome. So we have what looks like a bunch of little decorative pieces, right? That's what I'm thinking all these pieces of fabric and material are. They are for decorative purposes. Maybe a clear sheet if you wanted to look through it, but I actually see it's not completely transparent. So it blocks some of the light there and doesn't give me a clean image. Okay. Some other decorative paper in there. Awesome. We have a tube, and this tube has nothing cut, no holes in there. All right, so if you wanted to do some cutting to it yourself, you could. And we have this one that is cut already, and it has a circular cut on one end, a rectangular cut here on the other, and I said end, but the sides of the ends. And then the top of the tube actually looks like it has a diagonal cut. And those have parallel diagonal cuts on either end. Interesting. We'll talk about that in a little bit here. Some beads, if you want to do some decorations with some beads. These are very important, I think, for our periscope. We have two reflective surfaces, or mirrors. So you can actually see my lights up above me here, if I reflect the mirror. And then we have some corrugated plastic sheets. Awesome, so this kit comes with a lot of different materials in here. And I'm guessing that you can design a couple different types of periscopes with this kit, if that's what you're looking to do. Some of your designs can be easier to make than other designs, right? So I'm thinking, like, for example, these corrugated plastic sheets are if you want to start from scratch, right? How would you design your periscope from scratch using some of these corrugated plastic sheets? Or you have a tube that already gives you somewhat of a starting point, a cylinder, and then you have the most basic, simplest one to start with, where a lot of the cuts and design of the periscope are already completed for you. So maybe if you have like a really young student, like, I don't know, maybe preschool age or even kindergarten, maybe some first or second graders, like Robert, would just want to do a really quick, get it out of the way kind of build project. These are already cut for you, so some assembly required, right? But the design part of the challenge is pretty much done for you with this one. Okay, so what exactly is a periscope? A periscope is just a looking device that allows you to look around different obstacles. So say, for example, I was playing and I was hiding behind like a car or something. I could peek this up above and I'd be able to look through and see what's in front of the car or where I'm hiding from, right? So usually you've seen these in the old days with submarines or, some sorts of ships, where they're underwater and they're looking above or, again, hiding, A lot of kids use them, but they did have their useful purposes in the real world. So that's all it is. And the concept here that students will be learning when they're designing a periscope is all about light, right? So light reflects, waves of light can reflect off of reflective surfaces, and the angle at which they come in is the angle at which they reflect off of a flat reflective surface, right? So that's the science concept behind here. Very basic, but you could get into details, and they could do analysis if they wanted to. But again, elementary school, you just want them to experience the phenomena here. So with the design that I have here, you would put a mirror, and I'm not going to do this because I want to build a different one on camera here. But you would have your mirrors on either end, and you would seal them by gluing the mirror on there. And then you could actually cut out, if you wanted to, the circle shape, and get all that excess mirror off of there so it would be nice and flush. All right? So you would do that to either end, have that mirror attached, and then you'd be able to look through it. See here? Let's have that mirror on there. I can look up at the light, and voila, I actually see the computer, and I could see all of you that easily through there just by looking, right? So that's the basics. So with this tube that is pre-cut for you, younger students can go ahead and assemble it. Again, some assembly required. You would just glue the mirrors onto here, cut them out, chop, 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 chop. So it's nice and flush. Make sure it's glue. Again, give it time to glue. Something that I am not too good at doing on these videos. And then the rest of the surface on the outside, what they do here is all up to them, right? That's aesthetic work. So they could come in here and color it or paint it or design it and make their periscope their own. But this project is simple as that, right? So this is the most basic one. And what I had done off camera was I had saw the shape of this hole here, and I was playing around with putting like this other cone in there. And so then I would have like a little looking cone that I could look through, right? So you would have like assembly. I know, I'm sorry, I'm not gluing these together, but they would like be glued together there. And then you can look through, right? And I could see things. Awesome. So I was playing around with that idea of adding cones here. So that's what I think these cones are here for, right? You would be able to put the cone in there, not push it in all the way. Maybe this is a different size, right? But that's the idea. Simple enough. All right. So I think all of you can figure that out, right? Again, I'll repeat it one more time. Glue, glue, right? And notice how the mirrors are relatively parallel to each other, right? And so then that would allow the light to reflect in, bounce at the same angle, bounce out. Voila, you can now see out of your periscope design. You know, students could play, like if you're doing this as an experiment with older kids, maybe they assemble it and they look at this angle and they could calculate the angle of that cut. Don't think it's exactly 45, but they could experiment with that. And then maybe with their other tube, they could try different angles and see how that affects what they can and cannot see through there. All right. Cool. So that's the basic design. Now what I want to do here, instead of just doing this basic assembly on video here for you today, I am going to put that one to the side, and I'm going to try and use these corrugated plastic sheets to make the shape of a periscope. Now it could be any shape, right? Usually they're cylindrical, but I'm going to see what happens if I make a rectangular one today. Okay. So I think these are roughly the same size here. There's 3 of them. Great. They are roughly the same size. What I'm going to do is take one of the sheets and cut it in half. So I'm using a square here, a framing square, but I'm actually just using it as a ruler because I cannot find another type of ruler on me right now at my home. So at the top of the framing square here, it actually just has a measurement device, a ruler, and it goes up to 7 inches, okay? So it looks like I have 7 and then probably around another inch. So this is about 8 inches long. So what I'm going to do is at the 4-inch mark, draw a little mark, come down here, draw a little line. Framing square actually makes this a lot easier because it gives me that nice 90-degree, right? So I can make my lines. And then hopefully everything will come out straight. So then matching my lines here. Now, if your students are working actually at one of their schools that has one of our STEAM labs, we actually have framing squares on our STEAM labs as one of the tools that students get to learn to use, right? Nothing special about that, except that a lot of times in schools they don't teach basic measuring tools or devices like this anymore, which is interesting. Back in the days you would have had wood shop, classes like that, they use those. And again, if you go into construction or engineering, like those are your best friend, those framing squares. All right, a quick square, framing square. So yeah, so we just have those in our STEAM lab that makes designing easier. Now this might be making a funny noise here with the cutting. All good. Great. So cut roughly down the center. Looks like it's a little over 4 inches. I could cut that off if I wanted to, which I will. Let's make them all the same. Well, actually, I'll leave them the same because then I'll have 2 sizes that are the same. So what am I doing here? Let's measure. Yep, it's just over 4 1/8. 4 1/8. That's all right. So this one's slightly bigger than that one. Let's do the same thing to this sheet. Cut, cut, cut. Go down here. Cut, cut, cut. Cut here. Cut here. And cut here. Awesome. That's my word nowadays, is awesome. Everything is awesome. All right, boom. And boom. There you go. I have a little paint on there, something from the warehouse or from here. That's all right. That'll just come right off. Once again, cut down that line. Making a weird noise here. That's just their corrugated plastic. Sure you all could hear that. Alright. So now, if this one was a 1/8 larger too, these two sizes will be the same, which they are, and these two will be the same as well. So now what I have is I can make a little box out of the corrugated plastic. Okay. I could glue that, and then I could glue these together, like that. And then I will do the same thing to the top piece. Boom, boom. So I made a cool little box, right? And I think that'll be a good size for the mirror at the end there. Make sure that I have enough room to cover it all. I think I might. It might not be the correct measurements, but we could adjust later. Okay? Just play here. So you could see that this is a good project if you want to do it this way with older kids, right? Maybe this is too much for, you know, like Robert's age, you know, 2nd grade, 1st grade. Again, tubes ready to go, you know, not so much prepping and design work. But if you had older students, middle school or high school students, and they were doing this like in a science classroom, like physics or something, you know, they could do this work here and do some more design and engineering work. This would also be kind of cool to do in a math class. Maybe if you were teaching geometry, you could do this. You know, you're talking about angles that light comes in, so they would mark the angles and figure that out. You know, they have the measurement of all their cuts here. They're going to have to make parallel cuts, you know, for the tube, so that way the mirror could be at an angle to reflect the light, right? So you could do this in a math class, you know, as an assessment for angles and understanding how to measure angles and measuring in just in general. Okay, so now I got to put all my measuring to the test here and figure out what I'm going to do here. Now, I think the easiest way, I mean, they could measure angles, right? Especially, you could use this, right? You could use a framing square to measure angles. You could also use a protractor, you know, you have those in math class. But what I am going to do is something a little bit different and just faster, right, for us on video. I'm going to just roughly measure how far down I'm going to go. So I'll measure the sides from the point up here. And then I'm just going to arbitrarily pick how far down I want the cut to be. So it'll be at some random angle, right? But that's okay for us for now. And let's see how that's going to change my view. Obviously, it might not be perfect, right? Because you could have a 45 degree and then that will be better. Right? And then you would just, boom, figure out your 45 degree, but that would make the tube relatively short. So you could do that, 45 degrees, right? So that will be roughly somewhere down there, all right? But you could also just measure the side. Again, different ways to do that. That's about 3.5 inches, right? So if you wanted the tube a little bit longer, you could do like 2 inches, and then it'll be at a little bit of a different angle. And I'm going to change my mind. Why don't I just do it somewhere down here at the 45? Let's give that a try. Okay. So from the end there to the end. Put this at the angle. Match it up with the end. And this was just really easy because I had the framing square, right? If you didn't have a framing square, it might have been a little bit more challenging. I like to change my mind in real time. Okay, so a couple different ways I could do this measurement just to get the same measurement. And again, it was about 3.5 inches down. So start at the 0 at the top. Right, so 3.5. Right there. Check. Interesting. So maybe my measurement was a little off, but let's see here. You know, I think I might have counted the thickness in there. Yeah, we're all right. Let's see. Yep, those are roughly the same, so we're good there. All right, so from that angle to here, draw a line. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut out along that line to create my angle here. Okay, do the same thing here. Awesome. So now you see I have two triangles, exactly the same. It looks like it might be a little off here. So let's cut a little bit more. Cool. Okay. So now, like you can see, like when it's together, the mirror is going to be right there on that angle there. Okay. Like that. Ta-da. Easy enough. I might have to shorten this a little bit, like a little bit more on that edge there, because I think it might be bigger than the overall mirror. But you get the idea. It's still not working, right? So now, what I would have to do is make a parallel cut on the bottom side. So since I was at 45, put this on the pivot point here. And then 45, it'd be somewhere like that. Okay. Now what I like to do is to always make sure I'm cutting the right way. Sometimes you get confused with the geometry there, right? So just double check. I was always taught that you can measure twice and cut once. But you can't cut twice and measure once, right? Right. So that way you have parallel lines. I think I'm doing it the right way. Chop, chop. Cool. Now I showed you the way that you can measure it if you're using a framing square or even a ruler. Another thing you could do to do fast cuts is you could layer it over one side on top of the other. Make a line, but now you have to cut on the inside of the line. Okay. Yeah. They're the same. Right, so now you'd be able to hold that together with your mirror. And now you just have to cut these down to the side here. So there's a couple ways you can do that. I am going to do this. And again, you could talk about the geometry here if you're doing this with students. You could have them measure it, whatever you want to do. If you were in a math class, right? You could actually make it into a calculation problem. If you did a 45-degree angle and this side is this length, what would be the other sides? Have them break down triangles. A bunch of different activities you could do here for this, right? And in real life, you just put all of those things in practice, as I'm doing now. Sometimes you think about them. Sometimes you just do them without thinking about them. Okay. Good. I think I can get it right here. Right. The mirror will go at the bottom. So now you gotta do the same thing to the other side. You could play with the measurements here to figure stuff out. Kids could look at geometry, right? If all the other measurements are the same here, then this one should be the same length as that. Congruent, right? There we go. There we are. Alright, so now I have all the pieces cut. Now we have to assemble, right? Now what I was worried about here, I'm going to check again, is just the length of the mirror. Like if the mirror is this way, because I actually didn't measure the mirror, right? So we'll have to do some cutting if we don't want any other light to be present in there. So if that's like that, this side is this way. So almost perfect measurements here. Alright, what I am going to do is I'm going to start gluing pieces together so they'll hold for me. Then we can worry about doing a little bit of trimming. Okay. I'll just put some glue here along the edge. A little trouble here with the glue gun. But nothing we can't figure out. Alright. Now it's really cool because I'm kind of cheating. I didn't put this on the material list, but a framing square, I could actually also check my 90-degree angles and make sure I'm straight here. Beauties of the framing square. Okay. Ouch, that hot glue is hot, 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 hot. Alright. Now what I'm actually going to do is put the mirror on now, because I'm going to have to do a little bit of trimming on things here. Right? So I'm going to make sure that I glue my mirror first. So we can put a little bit of glue on the edge here. This is going to be kind of weird because of the corrugated plastic there. Maybe you'll want to put it on the edge of the mirror. Otherwise it's just going to dip in there. And then this edge as well. You know, maybe the mirror would have been a better place to put the glue, maybe. Thinking. Yep, I think the edge of the mirror here might be a little bit better place to put the glue. So as you can see, this is what I was saying, because I just cut the sheet in half. I was like, hey, this looks like a good size, right? So I just roughly did it without checking the measurement of anything else before. You can see that this sheet is just a little bit larger than the mirror would be. So if I were to just glue the other side onto here, you would see I would have a gap inside the periscope. So I'm just going to actually put this in under here and glue it like that. Okay. And that's because the way I did the measurements at the beginning, right? If I was careful, I could have just done the measurements of the mirror, right? When I cut the sheets out, and then I wouldn't have had this issue. but it's fixable, it's doable, right? So I'm not going to complain too much about it. Maybe I did break my rule I said earlier about measuring twice and cutting once, right? Maybe you can measure once and cut twice. Maybe, maybe. I also didn't glue the bottom here. Great. Now let this dry. I do have a little cleaning up to do, but that's okay. All right. Nothing that I can't fix so far. I did realize something else I didn't do that would have been easier before assembling. I didn't cut the window here to be able to see through, right? So that's going to make my life a little bit harder too. It's okay though. It wouldn't be one of my videos if I wasn't messing up now, would it? Alright. But I like to show how much I mess up, so that way students and everyone feels better too when they mess up, right? One of those things are like, oh, you know, it makes it look so easy or something like that. Who knows? But I do mess up all the time. Alright. There we go. Awesome. You know, I was also thinking like I was doing this and then you could design on it, of course, once it's assembled. But maybe it would have been easier to design. Like I know some people really like drawing, so it might have been easier to draw, like if you're going to do some cool design or something on there before assembling it. All right. So lots of stuff. Now I'm going to glue this other mirror on here. Now my mirror is broken here. I think that's just from when I opened the box before. So I won't have a perfect closure of light, but that's okay. The mirror could just be replaced at a later date and not right now. So just again, put glue on there. The mirror's kind of giving me the square. You could check the square to make sure that every side is even, or you could have a non-square project. Okay. So again, this is what I said. Because of the dimensioning and crack in the mirror, it's not going to seal light out. But the purpose of the project and our end goal will still be there for demonstrative purposes, and then I could just change that at a later date. Now the only thing I have left to do is to put this, see, and this is going to help me with the square too, help push that open. But remember, I did cut some of that off, so I'll have to make a cut there. Okay. Again, the measurement part is important. You wouldn't have these issues that I'm having right now if your measurements were correct, all right? If you measured the right things, like what I did, all right? So I am going to do a little bit more measuring and cut this before I put it on. I also noticed that I messed up by not cutting out my hole that I need to cut out there. So I am going to go ahead and cut that on this side before. I was just trying to put this up to my face as I was talking to see if it was gonna cut out properly, like if it was gonna block enough light. I think we'll be okay. Alright, so let me take another quick measurement here. And what I'm measuring is just the inside. Actually, let's just measure the mirror, right? Let's measure the mirror. From the inside of the mirror. So it's about 3.5. That's what I said before, right? Oh no, that was the other measurement I was taking. Just have similar measurements. It's okay. Okay, so let's cut this to 3.5. And that should allow me to put this in there. And if I mess up, I actually have another whole sheet over here, right? So there is rooms for some error. But hopefully we don't have to go down that route. Right. Chop this off on the side of the line. Yeah, I do know how to measure sometimes. Sometimes I do. Cool. And then pushing that in there, it's kind of tight, which is good. That will actually give me part of my square, right? To make sure it's square, since both sides are now measured. So it would look something like that. I haven't glued it on, obviously, because I want to take it out and I want to cut the little opening there so I'd be able to see through there. And then we'll figure out how I'm going to cut there without destroying everything on the other side. Alright. Now you could also experiment. You could have the students or you experiment where exactly you're going to put the opening. And if that changes anything, So I am going to just, for time's sake right here, I'm going to make like a 1 inch. Okay. And how far up am I? Okay, cool. And I'm just making my marks kind of wherever I want. I'm just roughly measuring 1 inch from the side there, so I have like a inch by ½ inch or something rectangle. And again, like as I said, you can experiment with different size openings and see what that gives you. So a little bit of just experimental trial and error here to see the different openings. I didn't think about this part and how I am going to cut through here safely. An X-Acto knife or something like that would probably be easier, or even a drill to have a pilot hole. But what I'm doing is I'm just carefully pushing the scissor blade down into the cardboard, and it's opening up a starter hole for me. So I could just cut that square out. Because you do want to cut the inside out without cutting the edges, right? So actually just puncturing over and over again with the scissors will allow you to do the job here. Okay? You could do the pole pushing method all the way down, but I'm just going to speed us up a little bit. Let's see how I just push down, and that allows the opening down, make it a little bit easier. This part didn't cut all the way, which is okay. Awesome. Now just the edge here. Alright, there we go. Again, I'm just cutting that opening out there. Might be kind of weird watching this on camera, but you'll get the idea. Alright, and I could be cleaner and neater, but let's just get this out of here right now. And with a razor blade or something, you could clean up the plastic in the opening there. But I got it done. So now we have to put, I'm going to put the glue on the sides here. And then we could push that down in there. Or let's see, should I push it in first or put the glue on first? Let's see. Choices, choices. I'm just going to go like that, and I could pull this away a little bit and put glue in there. So I'm just pulling the edge away and pushing some glue down there. So that way I put the glue at the correct location on the side. I actually think it's coming out kind of cool with a little design here that I made. Now remember, it doesn't have to be this shape, right? Just as long as the lenses are parallel to each other. Nothing fancy about the shape there. Okay. So I already could tell that it's going to be working because as I look through that opening, I can actually see it bouncing off of one mirror. Like I see my mirror here, and I could see the top edge over here. Okay, by just looking through it. And the way I know that it's there, even though I don't have the hole yet, is because I could actually put my hand over it and I see the difference in the shadow of where my hand is and where it's not. Okay, cool. So that means my hole, I kind of want the hole up here, somewhere in this area. I wonder if you all can see in there. I don't know. I don't think so. Maybe a little bit. Let's open this side up, and then let's see if I could actually show it to you via camera. Okay. I'm gonna do the same kind of rough measurement I did on the bottom there. I'll just pick a mark here, and you can make it bigger, smaller as you're going through if you wanted to experiment more. Okay. And we'll just make that about an inch. Let's go over here. I'm estimating now just to get this done here. You guys get the idea. Oh, make sure I'm on the one. Okay. Now if I see this isn't straight and my initial dots are off a little bit, I can just use one dot, right? Just get the stopping point right there. But I was actually pretty close for just eyeballing it. Alright, and then So just cutting out this internal section here. Now again, I did mess up. I should have done this cut prior to putting it on here. So this might be a little bit harder to do. Maybe not. It's actually working kind of easier because I don't have the ground underneath me. So I can kind of use the scissors like a saw of sorts. So maybe you do want to assemble it before you make these cuts. Choices. Choices up to you. I just have some ideas. They're not right or wrong. Do what is best and easiest for you. I do have a little cut there. Oh, I could see myself on the screen. And I would definitely want to make these openings larger so I could see more of it in there. But I wonder if you guys can see. Yep, you guys should be able to see my face. Maybe. I can see the computer screen through there. So where's the camera? There's the camera. Maybe. I don't know if you could see or not. But I can definitely see my computer screen there. So the Periscope is working. Pretty easy, right? So it's a good lesson actually for math and measuring too. If you're not even discussing about light. Alright, now I'm just going to cut these edges off because again my measurement was off, right? So I have these little excess here. I could leave them on if I wanted that for a design. Alright, but I'll just cut that off. And this one off as well, so it's flush. But maybe you did want to leave that on as a design, right? You could have had the sides longer than the mirrors if you so chose. Yeah, maybe I should have, so it's not just jagged. Alright, but I could clean that up, right? And now you could design, again, you could design your Periscope however you want. You could draw on here. You could put your name. You could name it. Like if you're going to make ships. Oh, I just had a cool idea. I was remembering like what some things that preschoolers do or kindergarten. You know how they play like dress ups and stuff like that. And I remember in preschool they had a section where they had like costumes and stuff. Maybe the kids could make these and they could add it to their costume collection, you know. Maybe they're playing like as a boat or something like that. Or even to take on the playground, you know, and have fun with. Pretty cool toy that they can make. So again, you're playing with the art, you know, you could add it to that kind of stuff. Their imaginative play while they're learning math and science. All in one package in this really cool project. So I'm gonna name it like Michael Cool Periscope. That's called Michael's Cool Periscope. There you go, right? And I could do that on the other side if I want. I could paint it and color it and do all sorts of cool stuff. Maybe even if you wanted the fabrics, right? You could clean this up a little bit by cutting out fabric to the sides. Okay. I'm just kind of getting a measurement of where I could cut. I just want to show this real quick as something you could do, not something you have to do. this is so my style too. Like I could build stuff, but this just reminded me of holiday time and me trying to wrap presents, and you could imagine how my wrapped presents turn out here. Good times. I wonder if my family could tell who the gift is from just by the wrapping, right? If it's from me or from Robert, right? All right. So the idea would be that you would just, design it, decorate it, put some glue on there. If you wanted to, you could use tape. Okay, my cutting is a little off, but maybe they added a side that's gold. That glue is hot under there. Okay. Alright, so I have Michael's cool Periscope there. I can design it gold on the side. Maybe I do like each side, like a different type of paper. That'd be pretty cool. Alright. I could do like that side, like that. And then the other side and design it. Alright, you guys got me decorating here now. So let's just, I don't want to cover Michael's cool Periscope up. Okay. I didn't want to have to worry about cutting the hole there right now, but for you guys, I'll do it. Why not? So you can see I'm not taking my time with the aesthetic design here. But just giving you a general idea of what are some things you could do. Oh, this one, is that kind of see-through? I don't know. I'm actually going to glue this down there to help me some. I do know I still have to cut that hole there. That kind of looks cool. I like how with the glue underneath it, it adds some texture there. So you get some more shine from the ripples. Alright, that was just to help me cut it off of here in my hurried attempt to just show a little bit of design here. Sometimes I wish I could just go back to like elementary school and do this kind of stuff all day. I like being like a little kid who doesn't have to worry about like the measuring all the time or stuff like that, or being neat, right? Just like you're having so much fun doing the project. You want to make it your own. This is my best attempt at being an elementary school kid. I like it a lot. All right. such a contrast to the other project I was doing where I was trying to paint for like an hour. I was trying to be really neat and careful. Yeah, that's not one of these days today. This is one of those. Okay, cool. Look, I did some art day. Check it out. Right? Right? Alright. Now I've just been rambling for like 30 minutes. And then you have the hole here. That would have to be cut out, right? So I'm just cutting the hole out, the little periscope hole. Alright, I think all of you got the idea about Michael's cool Periscope project here. And I could actually still see all of you. That's cool. The reflective surface is a little distracting to me personally with my old eyes. So maybe I would put the distracting side towards you all. And I would look through like that. And I could see everybody. Again, I would make the holes a little bit bigger next time to encompass more of the surface of the mirror, and then I would be able to actually see out more, right? So this hole I would probably make maybe twice as large, 3 times as large, and then I would be able to even see more out there. You know what? Actually, I want to try to see what happens if I make this bigger real quick before I leave. Before we're done for the day. Just gonna chop here. And then I'm gonna go show off my cool periscope to Robin and be like, look what I got. I'm gonna go play in your tree house outside. You know, Robert and I like to have Nerf gun fights. So I think it would be really cool. I'm going to use this during our Nerf gun battles to peek around the corner before I put my head out. That way I could be better at hiding from him. Oh yeah, much better. I think I could even make that hole even bigger. But making that hole big allowed me to see a lot more out of there. Yeah, I would make it probably even twice as big. Go down here, cover more of that surface of the mirror so I get more light bouncing in there and reflecting. I wonder if that's going to change at all the perspective of the focus as well. That would be another thing you could do with older kids, change the focus. Well, thank you for tuning in and checking out our cool Periscope project here. Again, simple, a little bit messy because of my time and my patience here. Wasn't taking my time with the cuts and cleaning up, right? But just to give all of you an idea about Michael's cool Periscope and what you can do with this cool project kit. Again, this is more middle school, high school level, already pre-cut to get started for younger kids, and they can have a good old time doing this and then bring it into their imaginative play that they want to do, you know, in the playground or something like that when schools return or in your backyard. Well, again, thank you for joining us and checking out the 2-Bit Circus Foundation Periscope Project Kit. Please check out our website if you would like more information on this. And always, thank you for joining us, and we will catch you on Thursday with another video from Kate. Thank you, everyone. Take care.